Redskins Postgame Live, presented by Geico and by your Washington, D.C. area GMC dealers.
If you wanted a ball game, you certainly got one today. 37-27, it looked to be the Redskins to have to celebrate, to finally break the streak of losing to teams in the NFC East, of losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. But it was not going to be on this day here at FedEx Field. 37-27 is your final. The Washington Redskins, not many games left. They were hoping to play the role of spoiler against the Eagles, as the Eagles are still in a tie at the top of the division against the Cowboys. Today was not that day, as we welcome you in to Redskins Postgame Live. Redskins coming off the field. Julie Donaldson, Brian Mitchell, Santana, Moss, Trevor, Matich. Gentlemen, you sit there and you say, okay, when is the breakout game for Dwayne Haskins Jr.? It looked to be that. Still things to progress on, but he was on a roll. Terry McLaurin, the young receivers, there were a lot of positives that you were able to say they were coming out of this, and against a division foe, a team they have not been able to win against. And those last few minutes, though, just belong entirely to the Eagles, Brian.
It did, and I think when you look at it, it's the inconsistencies, and it's the fact that some guys don't think of the moment. They think of the big play. I think if you look at Steven Sims on the third down, when he started upfield, stay upfield. It's more important to get the first down at that moment than trying to break a big play. A lot of guys try to break the big play all the time instead of thinking in the moment. If he gets the first down there, and let's say they go down and they get the 3-point, maybe a lot of time is off the clock and the Eagles don't get that time. But you have to know the moment of the game, and I don't think they knew that.
It boils down to our youth. It basically showed where we are as a team. You know, so many guys out there making tremendous plays, and you look at them, and some of them are in their first years. Yeah. On the defensive side, too, some of those guys are either newly acquired guys, or guys that haven't been in this league for a long time. But when it comes down, when it matters, it's what do you do to put your stamp in this game, and by closing the game out, like he just said about Sims Jr. You know, that was a moment where he's going to look back on and say, man, some years down the road, if I'd have did this my rookie year, maybe I had a chance to change the outcome of this game.
I mean, you talk about 12 of his 19 completions, Trevor, they were to rookies. This is a very young squad. The only player that he would have any chemistry with, which you saw playing out a good bit, was Terry McLaurin, because they were doing it at Ohio State for quite a time. But it takes a little bit to get the chemistry going.
It does, but you can see the nucleus, and you can see the future. And I think there was a lot of good that those young guys did. Now, there was some bad that those young guys did as well. Dwayne Haskins had some magnificent throws, but he had some completions where the throw wasn't very good, and the receiver bailed him out, and he missed some wide-open guys. So you can also see the path to improvement for Haskins. But overall, every week he gets a little better. And in this game, he made more good throws than we've seen him make in any of the starts that he had so far.
One of the things that the interim head coach, Bill Callahan, had said last time, especially in defense of his quarterback and why he didn't take them out, he said, look, when Dwayne makes mistakes, you're not seeing him repeat the mistakes. And that's what you want out of the rookie. I mean, remember, for almost the first 6 months that they had him, they weren't thinking about him being a part of the game plan. They were going with Case Keenum or Colt McCoy potentially. So he was really kind of production getting into it a little bit behind. You're seeing that progression. You would like to be able to see something to celebrate for it, though, out of this one?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look at this game, the way that they played some terrific ball today. But when it comes down to making the play instead of trying to make a play, they did not make the right decisions. And I think that's the whole thing. You look at them offensively and defensively, they made big plays throughout. Then when they got down to crunch time, the last 5 to 7 minutes of that football game, they were not consistent enough. That's the whole thing. I'm not saying that they were bad. They just weren't consistent. You have to learn that. I remember when I first started playing this league, I tried to break every return instead of just getting up the field. And then I realized after a while, if you just keep going, get what's given, you're going to break more than you would. And I think that's one thing Steven can learn. That's another thing Dwayne can learn. Defensively, the guys can learn. If it was a fumble, pick up the ball, you start running around trying to be a big-time player, and you fumble the ball again. Just get down. You're a linebacker for a reason. Because you can't run the ball, you don't know how to tuck it in. And I think that's the problem. Everyone is trying to make the play instead of make a play instead of making the play.
And Brian, you're talking about playing clean, right? So secure the ball. It's the first thing you do when it's in your hands, whether you're on offense or on defense with a takeaway.
Lock it in.
And then when it comes to contain, one of the touchdowns that the Eagles had late came after a 56-yard run to the left by Miles Sanders. That run set up that touchdown. That run happened because somebody lost contain. Now, it's easy to blame Montez Sweat because he was the defensive end out there and he slanted inside. But the guy inside of him on the D-line also slanted inside, and nobody replaced him. So I can't say, hey, Sweat was the defensive end, so he blew it. I don't know who blew it. Might have been him. But the point is that opened the gate for a 56-yard run, which led to a touchdown. That is another difference in this game. Just one play. Play clean. Stand in the right spot. Look at the right guy.
I mean, there were plenty of times in this game you're saying, okay, finally, they're making some good stops. Ryan Anderson is stepping up. Guys are making some plays. And then, I mean, that's the crazy thing about football is you're all ready to celebrate, and then that one.
But things like that are correctable. And the defense did a lot of good things in this game as well.
I mean, where are we in the season, though?
We are, but the thing is, missing an assignment on contain, whoever it was, you can correct that. If you're just not good enough to contain when you're in the right place, that's something you can't correct.
I mean, that then begs a totally different question. Is it the personnel? Is it the coaching? What's the problem?
I just think at times guys get a little lost in the whole deal. They were talking about right before the play with Josh Norman. They're still communicating when the ball is being snapped. I don't know why they do that, but ultimately, you look at Ryan Anderson. Ryan Anderson over the last 3 weeks has looked like the guy that we thought he was going to be early on. Ryan Anderson is taking huge steps. But it comes down to the point where you're going to make mistakes in the game. It's when you make them. If you make them early on, you can overcome them. But they make them late when it's crunch time, and that's why they can't overcome it.
Santana, we were talking a little bit ahead of the game coming into this kind of about the secondary, the changes that were made for the Washington Redskins. But there were some plays, too, where I'm questioning, and I'm curious. Was Carson Wentz and some of the receivers he was hitting, were they just that good at plays, or how many breakdowns were you seeing from the secondary?
Well, first of all, what I saw earlier in the game, we had a soft zone out there, and he was picking us apart with Ertz and the tight ends. And then later in the game, I literally just walked down from the suite, and we was up 3, and I got here, and the game just got out of hand just that quick. So I don't know what transpired in those couple of minutes. But what it showed to me is that they made an adjustment and say, hey, they're playing this way, so now we're going to send these shallow crosses underneath and get them in. So that's one of my biggest problems when I watch teams play against us. It seems like they always find the formula, eventually. And we sit there and just keep showing you the same thing over and over, and allow them to give us that Hawaiian punch. So you have to find a way to win the game. If I'm up 3 points and it's less than a minute left on that clock,
you should be able to.
It's no way. And I want to say something else, that I'm going to allow you to do some of the things that I saw that's beat these guys or handicapped us earlier in the season, because they know this. And they went back to what we couldn't do, and that's cover their guys underneath.
And it's been since last year, those crossing routes kill us, and we have not adjusted to it yet. When you sit off and the guy runs across and you have to go over the top of 2 defenders, you'll never, ever be in position to play.
You've been saying that for quite a while after these games. Let's go down and bring in our Redskins Insider now, presented by Oarsman Automotive of Virginia. J.P. Finley joining us now. J.P., look, you really thought that this game was going in one direction and there was going to be something that you could, pat Dwayne Haskins on the back and say, okay, you got it, finally, a win against a division foe. And then what is your translation on just what happened there at the end?
Julie, maybe I have a different outlook on this game, but frankly, I think this is the best possible outcome for this Redskins team. Of course, fans want to win the game, the players want to win the game, but if you look at the big picture, the 30,000-foot view, you got the best possible outcome today. Why? Dwayne Haskins came out and balled out. We've been talking about a breakout game for Haskins. We finally saw it. I do not care at all about that last play of the game on an attempted Hail Mary. That's not a real turnover in my mind. He made big plays down the field. He connected with his receivers. I kept saying we're going to know when he finally plays well. We're going to see it. Today we saw that. That's by far more important than the final score in a lost 3-10 season. They're 3-11. What's the difference between 4-10 and 3-11? Draft position. And I'm not one of these guys that is going to berate anybody that's upset they lost. Of course you want to beat the Eagles. This locker room, this organization, everybody hates the Eagles. I understand that. But with the Giants I haven't seen a final score. I believe the Giants are beating the Dolphins Dolphins, that means the Skins could be in the driver's seat for that second overall pick. That means Chase Young could be putting on burgundy and gold in April. Today, I understand we're upset about defensive plays and how crossing routes have hurt this defense for years now. I agree with B and Santana on that. But this is good news for the Redskins. They played really well. Dwayne Haskins, more importantly, played really well. The young guys balled out, and they are still in prime position for Chase Young.
Chase, I mean, yes, there's a lot of austerity to that name, and people kind of want that. But since you mentioned it, the draft and the position, really kind of what you also wanted to see at the end of this time was, what do you need to have around Haskins to help going forward if he should be, whatever coach comes in and where they go? Are you getting a sense from that? Because they're also obviously on defense. Are those holes too?
I mean, offensively, you could certainly add pieces. I think a big play tight end would help a lot. I wonder if you don't look in the free agency market for that, because there's going to be a lot of salary cap space available to this team. We know that a number of these names should be coming off the books. Think about Vernon Davis, Jordan Reed, Josh Norman. I mean, that's probably $30 million off the top of my head that I just came up with. There's going to be cap space. I think you're seeing some good play. How about Ryan Anderson in the last 2 weeks? He's made more plays in the last 2 weeks than he has in the last 2 years. The lights are coming on for some of these young guys. Montez Sweat is showing speed and athleticism. I think he's still learning, but you can see the raw tools are there. Defensively, they didn't get the job done today. Carson Wentz, also a pretty good player. He made some incredible throws. But far and away, I mean, this whole season is about Dwayne Haskins. And do the Skins have a guy they can count on for the future? Today, for the first time, you can watch the game film and say, yes, they do.
Urban Meyer was here as well. I'm kind of curious a little bit more your thoughts that you've kind of had time to talk with some other media members on his being attendance, what weight, what stock you could potentially put into that.
You don't want to put too much into it, right? Because what we've learned is that Urban Meyer was in Philadelphia yesterday for the Army-Navy game. Philly to D.C. is a pretty easy trip. We know Urban is close with Alex Smith, who he coached at Utah. We know Urban is close with Dwayne Haskins, who he coached at Ohio State. It's entirely possible Urban just wanted to watch the Skins. Entirely possible. But it's also not nothing. That you have one of the most desired head coaching targets in the NFL. I mean, this guy is connected to every job that might be opening up. He was here, and he was sitting with the Redskins owner. That is not nothing. So I don't want to make too much of a big deal about it, but let's not brush over it either. I think we've heard so much about Urban Meyer being connected to the Dallas job, right? Well, what's one thing Urban Meyer's not going to get in Dallas? Control of the football operations. Jerry Jones ain't giving that up, period. You know what Urban Meyer could get with the Washington Redskins? Control of football operations.
Yeah.
All right, JP, thank you. We're going to let you go because we want to get some player reaction and some more thoughts on this as the season is winding down. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jules. Talk to you soon.
Sure thing. All right, so when we are done, as soon as we are done, Overtime Live will be taking over. Travis Thomas will be leading the charge on that. Curious to always get their thoughts. They kind of a little bit go off the rails. They make it a lot of fun, though. Their thoughts on this as the season does wind down, what they can take from this game as we go forward. And then there is always the picture of the game. Charles Matthews is drawing that. You can get a look at it right here, but if you want to continue to see the finished product, well, you go to NBCSportsWashington.com as he is always capturing the image of the game. We're going to have more reaction and analysis. We will hear from the interim head coach and, of course, the quarterback, Dwayne Haskins Jr., when we come back here on Redskins Postgame Live.
Hi, this is Dwayne Haskins. You're watching Redskins Postgame Live on NBC Sports Washington.
Time for our game stats presented by Volkswagen. The Washington Redskins really lost time of possession. That defense was out on the field for long amounts of time. Long scoring drives by the Eagles, 36-23. Dwayne Haskins, though, had a career day, completing 19 of 28 for 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had a couple of touchdowns early. Didn't have to wait in this one for that, but it is the Eagles that get the victory in this one. Time now to hear from the interim head coach, Bill Callahan.
Okay, let's roll. Questions? Questions? Questions?
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sir.
This was kind of a breakout game for Dwayne. What did you see from him today, and what allowed him to kind of put together
I thought
that
it was
stat
just
line?
a really good effort by all of our players. I thought By and large, they poured their hearts out there today. I commend our team. Every phase, played hard, played, 4 good, hard 60 minutes of football. There's not much more I can ask of our team.
Hey, Coach, this was almost like a heavyweight fight where you took the lead, they came back and took the lead, and down the end, just talk about this game overall of how
it's unfortunate. We played our hearts out, and they made the plays we didn't make. We just didn't make the plays at the end that we needed to make to finish off and top off the game.
Bill, how hard is it for a guy like Josh to come in, having not practiced much this week, to not play? But obviously, in that situation, the game's on the line.
Yeah, we did the best, for our team. That was the best decision we could make at the time. And I think everybody played their hearts out. Everybody gave a great effort today. Like I told the team, I really appreciate them. I love them all. They, most teams that are in the situation we're in, they quit. They just flat quit. I saw no quit in our team. I saw a lot of fight. I saw a lot of spirit. I love those guys, and we just got to get ready for next week.
Bill, Terry's had a lot of good days this year, but career day, big block on the Adrian Peterson touchdown. Just kind of what does he add just as a complete player?
Yeah, I love Adrian. I stated many times this year, just overall total respect for everything that he does in the game and what he brings to the table. I can't say enough about him.
Bill, staying back here, you said it was a great game for a lot of guys, but to speak specifically to Dwayne, what do you see? Do you see his confidence grow maybe during a game like that when he has early success?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look back at it. I can't tell you right now. I'll have to look at the film and evaluate, all his early plays, late plays, things of that nature. I think we can always learn. We always can get better. That's for certain.
I'm sorry, Bill. Did not speak clearly. I was asking about Terry McLaurin.
Oh, Terry. I thought you were talking about Adrian. I'm sorry.
No problem.
And, again, Terry. Everything you can even ask for a young wide receiver. Have the utmost respect for his game.
Hey, Bill, to come in with Ryan Anderson to come in and replace Ryan Kerrigan like that, it seemed like this was maybe his most inspired game. Did you sense that with him too today?
Yeah, I thought a lot of guys stepped up. Ryan stepped up. I thought our whole defense stepped up today. We played aggressive, made a lot of plays. A lot of plays I'd like to have back, but I thought the effort was there, but just wasn't good enough at the end.
Bill, what was the key today to get Dwayne Haskins off to that good start, and what were your thoughts on his performance overall?
I just thought, we came out, we had a good plan, executed early, which was great. But in the end, we just didn't get it done. It wasn't good enough.
Bill, you guys seem to be a little bit more balanced on first down today. I know you talked about how efficient you guys have been with first down runs. So what went into the decision to pass a little bit more, and how did you think that wound up playing out?
Every game's different. So, today's different. Some days you run more, some days you run less, some days you pass more, some days you pass less. So, every game's different. So we game plan this a little bit differently.
Bill, any one play late or any one part of the game late that you'd like to have back? Nothing big jumps out except, last touchdown.
I just think, you'd love to have a lot of plays back. I thought, again, our guys played hard. They played with great effort. Just unfortunate we came up on the short end of the stick.
Bill, you mentioned earlier that, in teams in your situation oftentimes, they quit, and you didn't see any quit in your team today. What's the difference between those teams and the team that you have right now?
I just think this team has a lot of heart, a lot of spirit. They're playing a lot of young guys. I just thought that, it's a divisional game. It's an important game because it is our division. And, we haven't done quite well, and so I thought that was a huge challenge coming in. I think we're like 2-14 now against the NFC East, which isn't a very good record. A lot of improvement. We got a lot of road ahead of us, hopefully it's a good start competitively. But at the end of the day, it's just not good enough. It ain't good enough.
I sense a little. That's one thing I was going to ask. I sense a little disappointment. I mean, that fact you could have
disappointed.
Well, no, but he could have gone. But 3 out of 4. I mean, to win that, I think that would have meant something. I get that sense. What would that have meant?
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Okay, thank you.
So there's the interim head coach. Look, there's a lot of things we've been mentioning. We haven't really talked about Adrian Peterson so far, and he tends to always be kind of like one of the bright spots on this team, still at 34 years old.
Yeah.
You know, last week he passed 14,000 rushing yards. And in this one, he passes he ties Walter Payton for the most touchdowns, 110. Curtis Martin for rushing yard, 5th all-time. I asked him coming into this game, I said, how far do you want to go with what you're doing? His answer to me is, my body feels good. I feel good. I obviously can still play at a high level, so why would I stop?
Well, I think he shouldn't. I mean, the thing about it, Adrian Peterson is a guy who takes care of his body. And I think a lot of young players can watch what he's doing and learn a lot from that. You watch him on that football field, he doesn't look like, everyone said, 34 years old. He looks like a great athlete, still to me, because he's still quick. He has great vision. He breaks tackles. He runs over people. He does everything you would expect a young running back to do, just that he's getting older. And we've seen him want to just pass people off once they get a little bit of age. But if he's healthy enough, he should get a chance. He won't get the big dollars, but he should get a chance.
Yeah, what team wouldn't want a guy like Adrian Peterson on their team that can still do what Adrian Peterson can do? One of the things I was just talking to a couple of folks about in the suite, you watch him play, he's showing these guys how to be a pro, one. And then while he's in the game, he's showing you that, yeah, I'm being a pro, but I'm not showing you any different from how I showed the guys before when I was these young guys' age. And that's what's jumping off the page to me when you look at him at 34. He's making some of these cuts, some of these second efforts with these runs, and showing you that he's going to go out there and give us his all. So I applaud him for every milestone that he's able to gain.
I mean, obviously no running back gets there, Trevor, without an O-line or without maybe it being a receiver throwing a block out there for you.
You know what? You mentioned receiver, Julian. That was so much fun to watch on his 10-yard touchdown run. He started out wide left, and they jammed it up. So he doubles back and goes wide right, and he beat everybody to the cutoff point. But who was out there to the right blocking but rookie wide receiver Terry McLaurin? And it's interesting that Urban Meyer, his Ohio State coach, was here today because he said, Urban did, that there was a game when McLaurin was a Buckeye where he was the offensive player of the game and didn't even make a catch.
Wow.
Because of his blocking. And so he was away from the play, and he was still blocking when the play doubled back unexpectedly to where he was. That's the kind of guy this team needs moving forward.
And if you were to ask Terry about that, he'd say he'll take more pride in making those plays than really just reaching the end zone. Of course, reaching the end zone has its own glory for sure, and he's well on his way, Terry McLaurin. But, man, Adrian Peterson, you coming into this season, you would say the running game was the strength of this team.
Yeah.
And that Randy Jordan had a lot of decisions on how are you going to split the ball? How are you going to split the carries? And, you know, is Adrian going to be written out of the script? Will he still have a role? and it's really interesting how things –
well, they tried to write him out the script, but all of a sudden you got a guy with a mind that understood that you're going to have to run the ball because there was not enough just to go out there and be a passing team. You needed to have some type of run to help them out. And the guy who is battle-tested at doing that was Adrian Peterson, and that's why they have some success, some levels of success, because Adrian Peterson is running the football.
And the thing is, he's not the future here.
Yeah.
The future are those young first, second, and third-year guys. And when they come into their own, Adrian will be long gone. But in order for them to develop, they need a running game. And right now, he's the only running back on this team that can carry the load because of Geis's injury in that running game. So he, by running the ball, by being a running threat, is actually helping the young core of this offense develop for the future.
All right, he, in the next few games, will have to run a lot of yards to get to 1,000, but I wouldn't put it past him. So Adrian Peterson gets to the end zone with a lot of help from his team. You see him getting respect from the Eagles as well. We're going to get to further reaction when we come back here on Redskins Postgame Live.
The Austin's Big and Tall Lineman of the Week, rookie right guard Wes Martin, filling in for Pro Bowl right guard who was injured, Brandon Sheriff. He helped protect Dwayne Haskins and allow him to have a career passing day. Haskins was sacked an average of over 4 times per game over the last month. No sacks today, with Wes Martin filling in, the Austin's Big and Tall Lineman of the Week.
And how did we get to Wes Martin? Well, unfortunately, that leads to our injury report, brought to you by Chase and Boscolo Injury Lawyers, and that is because Brandon Sheriff was not active today as he's dealing with an elbow injury, so enter Wes Martin. There was a lot of hype on him coming into the season, and a lot of questions about this O-line. You've been really waiting to see what production would you be able to get, what kind of an O-lineman would he be. Santana, we were talking about, what these young receivers were able to do, what Adrian Peterson is able to do, but none of it ever happens if you don't have an O-line at all.
No doubt. Coming to the game, that was my X factor. I said this offensive line had to hold up for Haskins and also open some lanes for Adrian to be productive. And you saw that today. You saw Adrian, he only had, 16, 19-something carries, I believe 16 for 66 yards and a touchdown. And then you look on the other hand with Haskins, he threw for 261, one of his best nights, and then he was only probably sacked once, and that was that last, I believe playing the last seconds of the game. So you have to tip your hats off to those guys. I saw a couple of plays from guys like Eric Flowers coming from his side to the other side making plays. We just talk about Wes Martin and all those guys. So I just believe that when it comes down to it, what we have, we don't even understand because this team and the record has been so ugly all year long. But Bill Callahan, he's the interim head coach, but he's also that offensive line coach. And I know he has somebody else in his place right now, but he's still getting after them guys in that meeting room, and you can see it every week. These guys come to play.
I think if this team, when this team makes that change and begin to get back to what the Redskins was all about, you're going to see that group of offensive linemen be the difference. Because you had a lot of young guys get opportunities this year. You look at Wes Martin coming in now. Okay, you get Eric Flowers, who seemed to be revamping his career. Guys had opportunities to play. I think as we move forward, we always talk about quarterbacks and all these different positions. The offensive line is as vitally important for this offense to move forward as anything, and I hope they address that a lot this year because you got some old guys that probably won't be around. You don't know what's going to happen with Brandon. You need to start getting some people in position to make sure you have at least 9 stellar offensive linemen on his team to be able to move forward.
I had asked Eric Flowers about moving from tackle to guard, and he credited coaching staff. He said, look, they really helped me. They believed in me. They really helped me, and I look to continue to grow. But it's interesting how this O-line has come together with it being one of the biggest question marks heading into this season. You didn't exactly know what you got with Terry McLaurin coming in the season. You certainly do now, as he had a career high. 5 catches for 130 yards. Here he is.
I think so, but it has to result in wins, obviously. We connected a lot today. We forced some turnovers, made some big plays, but it just wasn't enough. They're contending for a playoff spot for a reason, and we know where we got to measure up to. We got to finish games better, and that goes on everybody. But, I felt like we got some momentum throughout the game, and we even finished a little bit better, just wasn't enough.
You guys talked about also having a fast start. Did you like the way you guys came out?
I do. I felt like we were really aggressive. In our first couple plays, we got 2 first downs, which was the goal. Obviously, we didn't score and get any points, but that was a lot better than we've done the last few weeks. But we got to continue to build on that going forward.
What was it like to score in front of your former coach?
It's another day at the office, honestly. It was a play that we saw this week. Dwayne did a great job of putting the ball in front of me. Just wanted to make a guy miss and use my God-given ability to run away from the guy. The O-line did a great job holding up in protection, and it was a great play-action fake. So that's how you draw it up on 2 Wednesdays going into the week, and we just executed it.
Yeah, there was a lot of question marks about the slow starts. All of Dwayne Haskins' passing touchdowns came in the fourth quarter, the 3 that he had. He had 2 in the first one here. Terry McLaurin with that 75-yard touchdown run. It was almost very similar to a play that they had at Ohio State. And there was competition to take how much chemistry he has with Dwayne and how much that kind of helps. But, man, Terry's putting in the work out there, Santana.
Yeah, he's almost close to 1,000 yards. He have 2 more games left, and I'm pretty sure he's probably going to go after that. But just to see what he's doing his rookie season is magnificent. I use that word because that's what it looks like. Every time you see this guy go out there and make a play, it's not some easy little slip screen or one of them balls, a little easy hitch or slant. He's making tough catches, contested catches, and that's what you want to see from a guy. Can he do that?
He makes tough catches, but he does everything. I think when you start looking at a guy like Terry McLaurin, you have to look at a guy like Larry Fitzgerald, a guy who plays the whole football game, blocks. Okay, he's going to run his when he's supposed to clear out, he runs at full speed. When he gets the ball, he's going to run that full speed, and he normally catches most balls that he touches. He's a young guy who seems to be playing at a very mature very mature level. Doesn't seem like you said last week, Tanner. He's 24, so he's a little different, a little older than those guys, but he's still a young guy. Yeah. But he plays with a great level of maturity.
And he's still learning on the fly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's drawing the best corners. He's drawing everything. He is still every single game learning how to even improve his craft.
And wide receiver is one of the most difficult positions to come from college to the NFL and perform at this high level. So it's all the more impressive. But aside from his play on the field, his leadership off the field, we heard him talk in the locker room after the game just now. He was a team captain at Ohio State. You see why. And that's one of the reasons the future is bright.
All right, lots to still look forward to for the Washington Redskins as they do go forward. Terry McLaurin, a bright spot. Lots of football to look forward to tonight. This week, Sunday Night Football, Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills take on TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you can get in on the action playing Sunday Night 7 for free on the NBC Sports Predictor app with $100,000 in guaranteed cash prizes handed out every single week. We were talking about Adrian Peterson and the accolades he keeps racking up. We're going to hear from him and chat with him when we come back. We are back on Redskins Postgame Live, presented by Geico and your Washington area GMC dealers. So the final score is 37-27. Dwayne Haskins Jr. had the best game of his young NFL career at a quarterback rating of 134, completing 14 of 20 passes for 196 yards in this game. Let's now hear from the quarterback himself.
Dwayne, obviously you want to come out of that game with a win, but that seems to be the best your offense has played since at least you've taken over as a starter. How do you feel like you played today and how your offense performed today?
I thought we did some good things as far as converting early on, moving down the field and being able to make some plays early. I think we did a good job calling great plays, giving us in a spot where we can make something happen, and we continue to work on it and try to improve for next week.
As we're way more balanced on first down today. Obviously you've run it well on first down in the past, but how does that those early passing or those early calls for passes on early downs help you get into a rhythm, and do you think that wound up playing out throughout the game?
Yeah, I think when you're able to throw for a first down and on first down, it makes the defense respect what you're doing, and being able to be balanced with play pass, and being able to run the ball. So as we continue to grow and move the ball offensively, we will continue to find out what works on first and second downs passing, and I hope we continue to do it.
Dwayne, you mentioned the getting off to a fast start, obviously much different than last week and probably throughout most of the season. What do you attribute getting off to that quick start? What were some of the things that you guys were able to do to help you in the offense?
Kevin having a great idea what he wanted to do versus the Eagles, knowing the weakness of the defense, and then, of course, offensive line doing a great job picking it up. And, receivers making great plays when they needed to make them, and we did a good job converting early.
You had a couple of really good runs, including an option on third down. Were you thinking you were going to take the ball on the third down play, or did it just open up that way?
The long one, I knew they were going to come because it was like 6 bigs in the game, and we were in a play before. And they had a linebacker in the end instead of a defensive end, so I knew he was going to jet up the field. So I tried to get as much as I can.
Dwayne, here in the back, since you and Terry were drafted, we talked a lot about the Ohio State connection. Not sure you guys have had many touchdown connections as Redskins with Coach Meyer in the building. What was that like, and did you guys have a chance to chat with him?
He was here? That's cool, man. The spirits were there for sure. Me and Terry have a great relationship, and we know where we're going to be during the play. He does a great job getting open, and he's a dynamic player that we want to involve early in the offense. I'm glad we did today. No, I didn't know.
You've seen Terry for years. How does he continue to grow even this year from what you've seen?
I think being at Ohio State, having to be around some other dynamic receivers and not having the offense really go through him. Now that he's a focal point of our receiver core, I know he does a great job with owning his routes and being able to win versus man, win versus zone, and different leverages. And he's someone that works hard every day, and he's a leader, a young guy, but he knows how to work. And, just watching him in college for 3 years and now having him on my same team with me just motivates me because he knows what it takes. And he just really does a great job with bringing a great leadership to the receiving room, even though receivers are known to be divas. He's not, and he's somebody that we rely on.
Hey, Dwayne, how much did it help you to maybe look like you guys are a little bit more aggressive on early downs? How much did that help? And also maybe was there more of the quick pass game today that helped you out?
Yeah, I mean, they have great defensive linemen up front, and we knew that Jim Sports likes to get aggressive, so we wanted to battle that aggressiveness with quick throws into zone, neurotic blitzes, and different stuff like that. And you know, he was definitely something that we worked on during the week that looked good.
Dwayne, statistically speaking, this was your best game, and people are calling it a breakout game. How do you kind of balance the making progress, having success, but also knowing that it didn't result in it?
I know we're close where I want to be. That should be an average game for me. Continue to work on it and get better. And even though we came up short, we did a lot of good things that we can continue to work on for next week and bring it in the last home game of the season. And hopefully that comes out with a win.
All right, so if I get the numbers correct from Dwayne Haskins Jr., 261 yards, completing 19 of 28 passes, and according to him, a long ways to go from where he wants to be, which is understandable. He is still very young in his career. Now, working further into his career in the NFL is Ryan Anderson, but it's been a little slow to come on to the season. He had a couple of sacks today. Let's now hear from him.
In this business, man, it's about winning. It's about getting wins, and that's what you get judged off of. So it's good that people are progressing, but you got to kind of win right now. You know, that's the nature of this beast, and we got to get it done. Yeah, some of the plays that we didn't make. You know, we had chances to put them away and smother them, and we didn't make the plays, and that was it.
Dwayne Haskins to the podium.
Started to tackle him up here.
I'm not going to speak on that, you know, because you can't talk about the officiating and all that stuff, but it is what it is. You know, we had chances to respond and bounce back off a lot of the penalties we did. Like I said, that hurt us, but it didn't come down to that. It came down to us executing.
So this is now the 10th straight game the Washington Redskins have recorded at least 2 sacks. That's the longest streak they've had since going back to 1990. But it's nice to see. I mean, I know we kind of just briefly touched on Ryan Anderson coming in. But, Brian, he's struggled a little bit to really get to the NFL game and to make an impact.
Yeah, he struggled early on because he had some injuries that came up with it there. When you come in as a college athlete, you know, it's some learning that you have to do. And Ryan Anderson took a little time. Then he got injured. Now, once he's healthy, you can see the guy that we saw at Alabama. He's getting quicker. He knows how to make different moves against people, and he has enough strength to try to overpower some of those offensive linemen.
Yeah, and he comes from a culture where it's not just that they love to win. They hate to lose. They hate to lose. This grinds on their soul, and guys like Ryan Anderson will lead them into the future into a completely different sunshine.
Yeah, I'm happy to see him finally turn that curve. You know, one of the things that we're going to be talking about in this offseason is who are we going to go out there and get to replace a guy like Kerrigan potentially. Yeah. And just to see Ryan Anderson being there saying, hey, don't forget about me. Exactly. I'm happy to see some of his success that he's having late in the season.
All right, I know he's been working on trying to be able to have more time out there or be more effective when he is. It was nice to be able to see that today. A couple of sacks on Carson Wentz trying to chase him down. Stay with us here on Redskins Postgame Live. And again, as soon as we're done, Overtime Live comes up with the Washington Redskins falling to the Eagles in this game. Toppings for touchdowns is presented by Papa John's. Call Papa John's on Monday for a large cheese pizza for $8.99 and 3 free toppings. It is available the day after every game. 3 touchdowns were scored. Go and enjoy your pizza on Monday. It is time now for our one-on-one interview presented by your Washington, D.C. area GMC dealers. And for this, Adrian Peterson keeps climbing up the ranks of all time. He joins J.P. Finley.
Here we are with the record breaker, Mr. Adrian Peterson. Another big day for you personally. Let's start there. You tied Walter Payton for all-time touchdowns in the NFL by a running back. You moved past Curtis Martin for all-time rush yards in the NFL by a running back. Week after week, these records are falling. How does that feel for you personally?
Personally, it feels good, you know, because, obviously I want to be successful. Play the game to be the best to ever do it. So just to continue to climb that ladder, man, it's special. And I wouldn't rather do it with any other team than those guys up front, the receivers. They do a great job in the run game as well. So, it's just a testament and contribute to those guys too for what they do in the run game.
Let's stay with you personally for a minute. The touchdown run was clearly designed to go the other way.
Mm-hmm.
What did you see to cut that back and to get into the end zone?
You know, I seen the flow. It was like just a little penetration. I think if I would have kind of slowed it down, I could have got underneath it and, maybe made it a bigger play, just keeping it front side. But I also felt the flow of the defense flowing over. And Graham, I was talking to him about the game. He was supposed to contain the backside, and he crashed in. So I was able just to reverse field. It was one of those situations where you got to, make something happen. So I was able to do that. Terry had a great block, made it easy to walk in the end zone.
I was gonna say, what does that say about Terry to keep his block on what's supposed to be the backside of a play that long?
It goes to show. These young guys are learning. The young guys are playing extremely hard, and that's what I love about them. Coach talked about and preached finish, and he did a great job of finishing on that play. He's going to get rewarded with that football, by the way.
Oh, you're going to give it to him?
Yep.
That's very cool. You inscribe something on there? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm going to write on there and make sure I put Todd with sweetness so he know, hey, you keep this one close and make sure you protect it, So obviously, God's willing, when I'm able to pass sweetness, I'll be keeping that one.
Yeah, I bet. That's still very cool, though, to give that to Terry.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another young guy. I know that you guys, I saw the faces in that locker room. You guys seem pretty heartbroken to lose to the Eagles. I know you want to beat the Eagles, but Dwayne Haskins had by far his best game as a pro. I thought he looked in command and comfortable throughout the contest. Mm-hmm. What did you think of Dwayne's play?
Yeah, I totally agree. He did a great job in the huddle, command the huddle. The look in his eyes, you can tell he was dialed in, locked in, and he put the ball where it needed to go. Things weren't perfect, but he did enough to help us win tonight, and it's amazing just to see him continue to blossom, and to continue to just take those steps, strides forward each week. So, we definitely got something special with this young guy.
How much can this performance maybe boost him the next two, and even going into the offseason? Can momentum carry that far?
Yeah, and that's the thing that we're focusing on. Obviously we wanted to come out and get the W today, but when you think about the things that he was able to do, the things that, Terry, Sims, the young guys, it's definitely something that we can continue to build off of. In these type of situations, you have to take the positives from those situations so you can continue to improve. So I think New York will be in trouble, and not to get ahead of myself, Dallas going to be looking at this game as well in a couple of weeks. Like, hey, we need to come out and with our A game.
So since you brought up both games, you're at 784 rush yards on the season now. That's two and a bit, 200 yards and a bit that you need to get to 1,000. You're going to get there.
Yeah, with the guys up front and how the receivers are blocking, I get the touches, I'll get there without a doubt.
I was impressed by Wes Martin today, rookie,
yeah.
starting for Brandon Sheriff.
Hey, coming in, he had his hands full. Cox, all those guys kind of had a little turn at him, and I think he did a great job.
My last one, I know you got to run. Did you know Urban Meyer was here today?
No, I didn't know that.
He was sitting in the owner's box.
Wow.
Now, Terry McLaurin said it was as his guest. Coached him at Ohio State. I think he was in Philly yesterday for Army-Navy, so kind of in the neighborhood, but still pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Come down and check out the two young guys from Ohio State and, watch a good divisional game.
Yeah.
Why not?
It was a good game. I know you want the win, but that was a fun one. I think fans really enjoyed themselves, which hasn't always been the case at FedEx this year.
Yeah, it looked like they enjoyed themselves, especially the Eagles fans. They were stacked in there. I've seen a lot of black and green.
There was a lot.
But our Redskins fans that were out there too. They had a good time. You can tell they were into it, and it helped us.
I saw you were rooting for Jalen Hurts for the Heisman. Burrow had to get that thing, right?
Yeah, I'm an OU guy.
I know.
Of course, my love and my loyalty is going to, my guy.
Yeah.
But if you've been watching college football, it's hard to be like, kind of knew where it was going.
I know, but you'll get your chance at the playoff. I know you got to run. Exactly. Thank you very much, Adrian.
No problem. Thank you, Jeffrey.
So yes, Adrian Peterson continues to climb the ranks today, ties Walter Payton for the most rushing touchdowns, 110. Charles Matthews is drawing that sketch right there. You see the two of them running on in, and you can go to NBCSportsWashington.com to see the final product. And how about that? Terry McLaurin gets the game ball. I'd give you a game ball if I had one to give away.
Yeah, I was trying to hear him give you the game ball while saying bye.
No, that's why he knows he's leading these young guys into their great future.
Exactly.
Leadership right there. All right, we will be back out here next week as you get ready to take on the Giants. Another division game. Just 2 left in the season because the Cowboys wrap it up. Thanks for joining us on Redskins Postgame Live.